Hello dear readers and subscribers. Art education is mentioned at the very top of almost every single resume. However, not all of us have had the opportunity or the resources or the accessibility to art education. However, 80% of all art graduates fail to manage gallery representation, proving that it takes a lot more than just a degree to make it in the art world. As a result, for today's video, I would like to talk about some very important, crucial information that isn't being taught at art school, leaving graduates unprepared when leaving school to build a sustainable art career. Even more, for those who did not go to art school, we'll discuss alternative art education, which is becoming more and more important these days. Before we dive in, I would also briefly like to thank and introduce Nucrits for making this video possible. We very rarely partner up, even though I receive a lot of messages to collaborate, but I only agree if they also share the mission that CAI has to empower artists and to make the art world more accessible. And also please note that art education varies from university to university, academy to academy. Some will do a better job than others. However, generally speaking, this is what art school is not teaching you. First and foremost, there is no ideal, singular, one-size-fits-all career path for artists. And it's very important to have a decent understanding of how your career path should or might look. From the outside, it often seems as if artists need to go to art school, where they get a degree, and at the graduation show, they will get their first gallery invitation, and during that exhibition, they will be able to secure gallery representation, and from that representation, institutional exhibitions will come, sales will come, critical recognition will come, and all you have to do is focus on creating art in your studio. However, in reality, that's almost never the case. Not only is it a rather unrealistic and too linear model, it also skips a lot of important steps and tasks that you need to fulfill as an artist. Traditional art education fails to distinguish or even discuss different career paths for artists. For instance, a contemporary painter will have to focus on different things than, for instance, an installation artist. The first needs to be aware that painting is predominantly the driving force of the commercial art market, standing in for 64% of the total value of sales in 2024, according to UBS and Art Basel's Art Market Report. And therefore, it is very important that they dedicate their time outside of the studio to the entities within the commercial art world. Think of art galleries, art fairs, but also building a steady track record of sales, building a base of collectors. However, the latter, the installation artist, as this is a less commercial type of art, they will predominantly have to focus on the entities in the institutional art world, encompassing non-profit organizations, museum institutions, but also open calls, finding funding for their projects, and linking up with curators active in the institutional realm of the art world. These differences are of course essential if you want to be successful in either of these careers. However, student A will receive the same education as student B. So how can one expect that you will successfully get to the next step to climb the ladder of success in the art world if you do not know what step that is? Art education is very often too confined within the walls of the university. There is only so much one can learn from books, lectures, or open studio time. Learning about art requires first-hand experience, and learning about the art world requires first-hand participation. Whereas excursions to particular museum institutions or events are becoming more and more common in most curriculums, most students leave art school with a degree or MFA, but without really feeling at home in the art world or knowing who's who or what's what. However, as an art student, it is the ideal moment to immerse yourself in that art world and become a part of it. If not, and when life throws other priorities and responsibilities at you, you might never find your way into the art world and therefore never be able to achieve your goal and become a successful artist. Then there are all these other formalities, from setting up a resume, pricing your work, and other basic yet essential knowledge that is all too often forgotten at art school. Simply too many artists leave art school not knowing how to manage their careers, missing out on funding and financial stability. Or what about networking and building professional relationships? The contemporary art world relies heavily on relationships and networking, yet art schools rarely teach students how to establish meaningful industry connections. Traditional art education fails to guide their art students to navigate the social and political dynamics of the art world, as they are supposed to figure it out by themselves, which can take years, or in some cases they never figure it out at all. This particular aspect will of course vary from art education to art education. However, in most cases, this general frame of reference is prioritized over your individualized artistic framework. Instead of building and deepening an artistic framework which will eventually lead to your unique vision and voice that can stand out and stand its ground in a high-end environment, they prioritize a broad, historical, theoretical and possibly technical foundation. And although this is necessary, in many ways it is also the easy part. You cannot build successful art based on a general frame of reference or a curriculum, but you must develop your own library of references, theories, subjects and topics that resonate with your artistic practice. So this is actually a lot more specific than traditional arts education can handle. Which artists, movements, tendencies, theories or text are important or useful for your vision. Because of the shortcomings of traditional arts education, or simply because you do not have the opportunity or the possibility to have an arts education, artists have been looking for alternative ways to educate themselves, and rightfully so. This is precisely why it is our mission here with our CAI platform to make the art world more accessible, to share those unwritten rules, but also to provide actionable and industry-approved career advice for artists, which should be accessible and affordable to all artists all over the world. And this is exactly the mission that we share with NewCrits, which is an alternative education platform founded in 2022 in New York by the renowned artist AJ Kurian, and specifically succeeds in bridging those gaps that we have just talked about when it comes to traditional arts education, as they provide mentorship and one-on-one virtual studio visits. Mentors in the sense of actual established artists who can share their experience can be so essential to point you in the right direction. They might already know the answers you are looking for, and if they do not know them yet, they know where to look for them. So pointing you in the right direction does not only apply to your vision as an artist or the conceptual framework of your work, but also the work itself. Think of experiential learning in the studio, gaining knowledge through specific experiments and developing a more intimate and understanding of process and materiality, which can be fueled by the experience of an art professional. What really excites me and what really sets them apart is that they have made it possible to be advised by some of the most visionary artists today. Think of artists who are being represented by some of the industry-leading art galleries that actually lecture at the most renowned art institutions or even universities, or that have participated in the most prestigious art events such as the Venice Biennale. So NewCrits allows artists from anywhere worldwide to receive their pro-level feedback in just a few clicks, and this type of service, especially from this roster of artists, is simply exceptional, I think, and I support this initiative 100%. For instance, let's go back to those flaws of traditional arts education. Instead of the one-size-fits-all misconception regarding your career path, they know the art world and can and will point you in the right direction. They have first-hand experience and can even assist you in negotiating contracts with galleries or institutions. And perhaps most importantly, as I have mentioned on numerous occasions here on our YouTube channel, the most important aspect to be able to succeed or to be able to climb that ladder of success is the art itself. As a result, this individualized artistic framework we discussed earlier is our #1 priority, and the mentorship of NewCrits can be a catalyst for your creative development, to discuss conceptual frameworks with established artists, or simply providing expert feedback to know whether your work is ready for the real deal or not. Looking for alternative arts education makes perfect sense. However, I cannot stress enough that the advice you receive must be from people who are where you want to be one day. Don't trust everything you read or hear online, on the internet, here on YouTube. Don't blindly purchase consultation services or believe everything they promise in their sales pitch. But far more important is to check the credentials of the people behind the consultation, of the people behind the information. From this perspective, NuCrits is possibly as good as it gets. So I will link to their platform in the description below and also in the pinned comment. And also keep an eye out for their upcoming class and syllabus about new identities in dangerous times, which will discuss a very hot topic that can also be somewhat of a minefield in contemporary art. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to watch last week's video where we discussed a very practical issue, discussing how professional artists finish the edges of their canvas next. Support us on Patreon and please consider subscribing to stay posted for more contemporary art. Bye.